we helped to launch the omega-3 market in 1982. That was when we launched our wild Norwegian cod liver oil. We might be in trouble in terms of fish, but it's not as much about the supplements, because the fish are not caught just to make supplements. The fish that are used to make the Carlson omega-3 products are used for food. They're used for food for humans, food for pets, and fish meal with what's left over, from which fish oil is derived, and also aquaculture feed is produced.
Welcome, everybody, to the Healthy Habit Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Dejan Matijevic here at Healthy Habit Medical Center. Welcome to episode number 120, everybody, 120, with Jolie Root. You guys might remember her from episode number 95, which aired earlier this year, February 15th of 2024. Jolie Root, Senior Nutritionist and Educator at Carlson Labs, is a nurse, nutritionist, health educator, and medical journalist who's been active in the natural products industry for 40 years. That's 40 years. Jolie travels throughout North America and abroad, attending medical conferences, lecturing, and educating about the role of nutrition in integrative medicine. Today, we're going to cover topics such as omega-3 fish oil supplements. Dating back to 1982, we have Carlson helping launch the omega-3 market in North America. We'll talk about the Friend of the Sea certification, the FOS, and much more. Plant-based omega-3 options in liquid and capsule versions, and DHA versus EPA, and much more. And just how committed Carlson is to sustainability, taking the health of our planet as seriously as the health of their customers. Jolie, welcome back.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here with you, and it's Earth Week.
That's why I got to have a Havasupai Falls in the background here.
Yeah, gorgeous, very pretty. I've got the ocean behind me.
There you go. I love it, Jolie. So yes, welcome back, folks. Again, if you didn't check out episode 95, I would highly recommend go back and view that one. You can even just type in Jolie Root there in the search bar under our channel. So Jolie, the stage is yours. Where do you want to start us off today?
Well, I thought since it is Earth Week, we could talk about sustainability and just the Carlson mission around that, because since 1965, Carlson has been on a mission to help people improve their health, and it started with Susan Carlson launching the company in order to improve the health of her family, and then it grew to family and friends, and then community, and now we're a global business. So we're 59 years and celebrating 60 next year. So we're a full line company. We think a lot of people think about Carlson and they think, oh, omega-3, they think fish oil, and that's kind of a niche that people attach to us, but we actually have everything from vitamin A to zinc, and yes, lots of omega-3 products and lots of vitamin D products and antioxidants. But with sustainability, I think we start by talking about the omega-3s. And you mentioned that we helped to launch the omega-3 market in 1982. That was when we launched our wild Norwegian cod liver oil. And we followed up 2 years later with the industry's first concentrated soft gel capsule of omega-3, the super omega-3, which continues to be a phenomenal product for us, but that was really groundbreaking in 1984. And the idea, though, is, what about fish? Are fish sourced products clean? Are they products that people can take without being worried about heavy metals, dioxin, PCB? We know the oceans are not pristine anymore. And certainly we go to the most pristine areas to source our fish oils, but they still have to be purified. We still have to do some processing in order to make sure that they meet the standards of industry standards, our personal standards at Carlson, and that they don't have any harmful levels of contaminants that, instead of helping someone's health, would actually be threatening someone's health. And so you never want that with one of your products.
Right.
So and the other thing that you have to consider when we're looking particularly at marine omega-3s, at the fish-derived omega-3s, is what are we doing to the sustainability of the fish stocks themselves? Are we using fish that are sustainable? Are we using fish that are easily replenished?
Yeah.
And with Carlson, the answer is yes. And that's just a standard that we have. You mentioned Friend of the Sea. That's how Carlson as a brand got Friend of the Sea certification. And a lot of times you'll see companies that are doing omega-3 supplements and that are sort of newcomers to the whole field.
Right.
And for us, because we have been doing omega-3s for now more than 40 years, we are well known, trusted. People consider us to be a very quality oriented brand. But in order for us to get Friend of the Sea certification, Friend of the Sea is a nonprofit organization, and their mission is marine habitat conservation. And they're part of the World Sustainability Organization. And so they certify and they promote seafood and seafood derived products like the supplements that we have at Carlson from sustainable fisheries and sustainable aquaculture. And the fisheries have to be low impact. And so this is just the standard that we had from day one at Carlson, was to make sure that we were putting out a very high quality product, a product that was known and tested, third party tested, known not to be contaminated, known not to be something that consumers have to worry about in terms of carcinogens or heavy metals, but
Right.
also not wreaking havoc on the environment. We're not putting any fish species in danger by making the Carlson products. And with that said, consumers ought to know, because consumers worry about things like this. They
Right.
think, are we overfishing? Are we overfishing the oceans? Are we going to run out of fish? And the fact of the matter is, if more and more people globally, looking at up at the global picture in terms of
Right.
omega-3, if everyone was getting enough omega-3 to be at a target intake of EPA and DHA and be at a target blood level of omega-3 based on omega-3 index testing, we might be in trouble in terms of fish. But it's
Mm.
not as much about the supplements, because the fish are not caught just to make supplements. The fish that are used to make the Carlson omega-3
Yes.
products are used for food. They're used for food for humans, food for pets, and fish meal with what's left over, from which fish oil is derived, and also aquaculture feed is produced, so that we can continue to feed more fish, so that we don't destroy the supply of fish. And there are quotas, and World Health Organization and environmental agencies are very strict about the quotas for fisheries in all of the world's oceans now. So we just went through an El Nino
Oh.
event. And what happens there is the water along the shorelines of the places where people catch fish for supplements heats up. It's much, much warmer. And most of the fish oil supplements and marine omega-3 supplements are derived from are cold water fish. So what happens is the fish move away from the shoreline. And so when the boats go out, there's not as much fish, or the fish that they're catching are juveniles. Well, they don't get to keep those. And
Oh.
so we went through a period in 2022 and 2023 where we weren't even close to par in terms of the millions of metric tons of fish oil that we could derive from the catch. And so a lot of companies ran out of product, and a lot of companies right now are having kind of short supply issues with product. The good news is the Peruvian fisheries have survived this weather event, and it looks like for 2024 we're going to be back to quota with the fish that we're able to take. But these are all the considerations that you have to excuse me,
Yeah.
that you have to think about. So one of the things that we did is we started looking for plant-based omega-3
Okay.
solutions so that we could take some of the heat off of the fish. And the thing that's cool about the plant-based solutions is they are algae and they are non-GMO. They are able to be grown in organic, very controlled environments. They're tested through the International GMO Evaluation and Notification Program. That IGEN is the acronym for that. That
Right.
little symbol is on the product labels so that consumers know that Carlson cares about this. And so the icon on the label shows you that we're very concerned about the level of quality for the plant-based omega-3s as well as the marine-derived omega-3s.
Wow.
So these are just some considerations. So
Hmm.
it's not, we're not newcomers to this conversation. We're not newcomers to the industry. And we do a lot of international gold standard testing and certification on our products in order to be able to reassure consumers that this is the highest quality product that you can be buying for yourself and for your family, and the commitment that Carlson has to the health of consumers. We're also on a mission to protect the health of the planet.
What a great overview, Jolie. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, yeah, Carlson, they've been around since 1982. We're going on 45 years here. They've been around.
Well,
So,
not doing fish oil since
I got it.
1982. I have to jump
Even
in.
longer.
Carlson, we started in 1965.
Got it. Wow.
So yeah, we're
Over
coming up
almost
on our
70.
60th.
Yeah, 60.
Next year is our 60th. We're going to be doing some partying.
That's incredible. So, and you mentioned low impact fisheries. Let's give a quick summary on that. That's incredibly important. Give us a quick take home on what exactly that's referring to. Low impact on the
Well,
environment. Go ahead.
what that means is we're using traditional fishing methods. We're not using huge boats that go
Okay.
out there and just suck up everything.
Everything.
So we're very specific to the species that we get, and the Carlson fish oil are made from sardines, mackerel, anchovies that are caught mostly off the coast of Peru, and the cod species, which are caught off of the coast of Norway. So the Arctic Sea and the South Pacific off of the coast of South America are the two places. And where the Arctic Sea is concerned, these traditions go back 1,000 years.
Yeah.
The people in Norway were making basically their national GDP on the fishing industry, before they got into oil and cruise ships. But really, the Norwegians are seamen, and they were Vikings, and they are fishermen, and their methods still are state of the art to this day.
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is, in terms of the safety of the species, in terms of just the population control of the Arctic cod, there are millions and millions of them. They are a plentiful species. So even with this most recent warming situation, there's no danger in terms of the Arctic cod. So
Got it.
that's the good news there. And Peru is really kind of coming back online. They had some issues the last couple of years because of that El Nino event. but that's a cyclical thing. It happens, and then it's okay for a few years, and then it happens again, and this is just something that we have to weather in the industry. And the fact of the matter is there are very close and very highly monitored quotas on what we are allowed to pull. And it has to do with how much, and it has to do with the size of the fish. As I mentioned before, we can't go after the juveniles. We need them to replenish
Mm-hmm.
the species. So, we're just very careful about making sure that we're using methods and that's why I keep mentioning Friend of the Sea. It
Right.
is Friend of the Sea that is, and Marine Stewardship Council also. Those are two organizations that consumers can recognize because there are icons on labels. And so it is organizations like that are very closely monitoring the way that fish are being taken for human food, for pet food, and also, the trimmings, what's left over then for the
Right.
supplements.
So the cod that you're catching, I think you said off the coast of Peru, the cod, correct?
Norway.
Norway is the cod. Okay, so then that's
Yeah.
obviously primarily being used in the classic, what most people know Carlson for, the cod liver, the legendary, one of the first products there from Carlson, if not the first. Um, but is there also omega threes in cod, or is it just salmon, mackerel,
Well, there
sardines?
is
Go ahead.
there is EPA and DHA and DPA, the less well-known omega-3 that are also in the cod. It's not as rich
As salmon,
as salmon, for
sure,
example. But
it's still in
it,
there.
yeah, they're still there. And so, yes, our cod liver oil comes from the livers of the codfish that are caught there in the North Atlantic and the Arctic. But also, the fish body oil is used for some of our supplements as well.
Got it. Yeah, so that's important. I use cod a lot in my treatment nutrition plans here with clients that are trying to lose weight because if you take the same size of cod and same size of salmon fillets, literally same size, the salmon has 4 times as many calories. It's very, very
Right,
interesting. Literally 850 for on a typical salmon fillet versus only
right.
150, 200 maybe in a cod fillet. So, and you're still getting the omegas, which is cool, which is good
Yeah.
in the cod, even though it's not as concentrated. But more does not always mean better, right, Jolie? It's an American thing to think, oh, if it's more, it must be better, right?
Well, the way that I look at it is we need to eat some fish. We need
Right.
to eat healthy food other than fish. And I think a place where consumers really miss out is plant foods, fruits and vegetables and legumes and whole grains.
Yeah.
And if we constructed, I'm a nutritionist, so I'm going to be thinking about what's on the plate. So if we constructed our plate and had three-quarters of it, think of the face of a clock. If you had three-quarters of it, or 45 minutes on the clock, was plant foods, and 15 minutes on that clock was a high quality protein. And, yes, hopefully marine source protein more often than a red meat source,
Yeah.
just because of the nature of the fats that are in there. But if we did that, I think that so many people would have so much less of an issue with their weight, because we're not talking about the ultra processed foods that are, appetite stimulants that make people just go back and eat more and more and more. We're talking about foods that are high in fiber, that are very nutritious. They're nutrient dense foods that are very nourishing to all the cells, all the tissues, all the organs of the body. And they make us feel full, which is great because of that fiber that's in there. And the fiber promotes the microbiome, the biodiversity of all of the beneficial organisms in the microbiome in your gut. And short chain fatty acids for the lower part of the gut. So, if people ate like that, if people looked at the Mediterranean diet or the Mind diet, or if you have a blood pressure issue, you might want to go dig out the DASH diet and take a look at what's recommended there. The foods are basically all the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you can have high nutrient density with less caloric density, so lower calories but more nutritious, that's a win-win.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. So let's dive a little bit more. We got about 6 minutes left here on episode 120, folks, with Jolie Root representing Carlson Labs. Last episode we talked to Jolie was 95 on the Healthy Habit podcast back in February. And in that episode, we hit on the taste award-winning liquids, blood sugar options from Carlson Labs as well. Remember, like you said at the beginning of this episode, it's you have zinc available too. It's not just omega-3s. So and then the plant-based options as well. I do want to dive into the plant-based vegan options for omegas as well. Is that algae sourced? Tell us a little bit about these products for our vegetarian vegan friends.
Yes, they are algae sourced. So I've got a little box here, plant-based Super Daily D3. It is our drops, the single drop doses of vitamin D. That one that I was holding up is 2,000 international units in a drop. And it is the only organic plant-based vitamin D3 that is a direct replacement for an animal sourced vitamin D3, because a lot of times the mushroom vitamin D is D2, which is less, it's still vitamin D, but it's a little less active than the D3.
Yeah,
So this is sourced from algae. It is a sustainable perennial plant source. It's environmentally conscious. It's a traceable supply chain. We look at pesticide, protein, heavy metal. We're in compliance with any of the standards on that. And it's also Vegan Society approved. And so it is, and even down to the box, the Sustainable Forestry Initiative, which means that the boxes are chosen, the product for the paper packaging is also environmentally friendly, and SFI, the Sustainable Forestry Initiative, actually goes out and plants trees. So there's a lot of the forests in America that are under their management. And then the other thing that I want to mention before we run out of time is
yeah.
these bottles, these Carlson bottles. This is inflammation balance.
Okay,
Um, Soft gels in a plastic bottle. Well, what about all that plastic? So we
right.
are part of the Impact Collective initiative, and for the plastic that we use, we are fishing an exact same amount of plastic out of the waterways of the world, and we actually are now 100% plastic neutral.
Okay,
And we have fished since 2021 when we really started the program, and we started just with the equivalent of our children's products
right.
and a couple of other our omega-3s that are in bottles like that, not the liquids. But now it is the entire line that is plastic neutral, and we've fished the equivalent of almost 13 million plastic water bottles out of the
Wow.
oceans. And that's just since 2021.
Right.
So until we get to a point where we can get this dark bottle protects the product from light, and until we get to a point where we have a post-consumer raw material for packaging that is as good as that and gives us the same kind of stability for the dates, the best buy dates. And we're looking until we get to that point. This other initiative, the Impact Collective initiative,
Right.
is what we are doing in order to not be contributing to the problem of plastic in the environment. And all
Fascinating.
of our packaging is recyclable, but the reality is only about 9% of plastic actually gets recycled,
Wow.
which is a shame. We need to be better about recycling our plastics.
Right. And again, it's so Carlson's a plastic neutral company. How many companies can say that? And this Impact Collective initiative started in 2021. It looks like June of 2021. And you've removed 562,499, basically 500,000 pounds of plastic waste from the environment. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's
that's
as of last month. So,
and that's
it
only in 3 years, pretty much.
right,
Coming on 3 years here in a couple months. So
right.
that's really, really interesting. And basically, every time someone purchases a product, a lot of that gets recycled literally and figuratively into that circular economy, correct?
That's exactly right. So, this is just another thing that is important to us as a company. As we grow, we want to make sure that what we are doing is good, not just for our consumers, as far as their health is concerned, but for the planet.
Where would you leave us with here, Jolie? Here flies by when we have you on talk Carlson Labs. We can go in many different directions, but what's a good summary? People are shopping as they're listening to us right now in Healthy Habit, and everybody goes to that fish oil section every single day. There's people looking for their omegas, and what would you leave people with regarding Carlson since 1965?
Well, I just think that we want to reiterate that since that time, we've been synonymous with quality. Now we want to take that a step further and say that the brand is also synonymous with sustainability, with responsible sourcing and responsible packaging. So as we, are about to come into our 60th year, we want people to understand this is still a family-owned company, privately held, women, we're a women's business certified company, and we care about the world that we live in. And so when you choose the Carlson brand, you know that you're doing something good for your family, but you're also doing something good for this planet that we live on.
Thank you so much for your time, Jolie. I can't wait to talk to you again later this year. Appreciate it.
Good to be here. Thank you.